Good afternoon. This is a presentation that we put up together after there was such an outpouring of interest on the subject when we posted about it. So, we wanted to make sure that people had access to the information that we have access to, and of course, we're not the end all. This is not legal advice. This is not any kind of completely full synopsis, but we just wanted to give a basic overview of what we know about the civilian blasting sector. And so, without further ado, my name is Zach Alexander. I'm the owner of the Senn Sable company, and today we're going to be talking about civilian blasting. So, I think the first thing that we need to outline is what a civilian blaster actually is. So there are a lot of different applications for blasting. Some of them look a lot like the military EOD style. You know, law enforcement EOD is probably the clearest civilian transfer over of the military style EOD. But then you have all sorts of other blasting occupations within the civilian sector that can look all sorts of different ways. For instance, you'll see the pictures on the bottom right. That's actually blasting in Colorado. They do this annually or so. When they have a high avalanche risk, they'll go and they'll either drop explosives down from a helicopter, or climb up, or they'll launch projectiles at a mountain with a cannon, a small cannon like a howitzer. But anyway, they induce avalanches by blasting the mountain. You have your commercial and industrial demolishers, like in the middle picture, and those are pretty straightforward. You lay charges, usually C4 or another plastic explosive, and you blast in. And you have your surface miners in West Virginia and Kentucky, all of these other places where they have big mining, Colorado. But these are all blasters, and their job functions, their day to day lives are completely different from each other in a lot of different ways, especially if you start looking at like what an oil field blaster does when he's just putting explosives down a hole for a mile or 2 miles down below the surface or however long, versus a law enforcement EOD where he is putting his hands on devices and he's got to diffuse things and deal with threats and all sorts of other issues. So, with all that diversity, you have a lot of different pay scales, a lot of different job styles. The main explosives blaster salary in the civilian sector is around $40,000 a year. Now, a lot of these jobs in blasting are not actually salaried. If you're a law enforcement blaster, you're probably going to be salaried. You're going to be on retainer with the local law enforcement agency. However, if you're like one of the guys doing the avalanche blasting, you might be contracted. You might have a 3 or 6 month contract, or however long, to deal with the winter season. Or you might be in a situation where you work for a blasting subcontracting company, and so these big contractors might say, hey, we need to have something blasted in Brazil, we need to have something blasted in the Congo, and now you're flying all over the world doing blasting. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get into blasting, but there's even more ways that you can use your blasting to maybe travel or to get some more freedom with your time, get to choose where you're working and how you're working. But there are some certain things that are always across the board. For one, you have to want to be a blaster, right? You're working with explosives. It's a hard job, and you'll see the qualities listed at the bottom, the hard and the soft qualities. There's a lot of things that you have to do, things that you can't get around. You have to have discipline, especially for these state and federal contracting jobs. You have to meet a lot of their contracting requirements, which means you've got to not have a record. You've got to not be using any illicit drugs. You've got, in some cases, to pass a background check, especially if you're working with the DoD or Department of Energy, Department of Transportation. Any high level work, you're going to end up needing background checks and other clearances. So, but there's a lot of good things that come from blasting, and I think it's certainly a high growth industry. We're looking at a huge shortfall, over tens of thousands of jobs that are going to be projected to not be filled in the next decade or so. So there's a lot of opportunity. And even if you don't stay in blasting, you're going to be working around people from every industry. So you're going to have lots of exposure to things you might want to consider in the future. So one of the things that you really have to make sure you get right is the licensing. It's a lot of licensing. It's multi-agency. You're gonna have to deal with a lot of different people wanting a lot of different things from you. It's not actually as complicated as it may appear from the outside, but it certainly will take a lot of time. In our case, our ATF licensing as a manufacturer took us 8 months. So if it takes us 8 months to get a manufacturer's license, I think it's fair to say that it's probably going to take around as long for you to get your blaster's license. Now, I don't know for certain, and you can actually get around getting a full license. You'll see here this picture. This is actually the user permit form. Well, it's a form 5400.13, and you can pick which kind of license you want. In the upper right corner, that's the user permit, and that would be satisfactory for you guys. So maybe they'll process you a little bit faster. I don't know. I hope they do. But for us, it took a while. You're going to have to go through a state agency as well for your blaster licensing. That's usually a state process. For our case, we're in Texas. The Texas Railroad Commission is the one that adjudicates blaster licensing. But you'll still need a federal license, especially if you're doing any federal contracts. So just expect it's going to take probably upwards of a year for you to get your licensing. You need to have some contingency plans in the event that things take a little bit longer than you were expecting. But once you get licensed, you're going to need to get insurance and bonding, because now you're a contractor. You're going to need probably a couple $1,000,000 of insurance. That sounds like a lot, but most contracting companies have a couple $1,000,000 of insurance. So it's it is a lot, but it's run of the mill. It's not like you're going to need to get $10,000,000, but you might need to get $5,000,000. It just depends on the circumstances. And then of course you need to find somebody who's going to supply you energetics for a price you can afford. If you're going out here trying to blast and you either can't get access to the materials you need, or the materials you need are prohibitively expensive, then you're going to be in a situation where you can't adequately perform your job, right? So you need to make sure you have all those in order. But once you have them, you're ready to go. Now, you see at the bottom here again, you can go the independent blaster way, and a lot of people have done that historically. Nowadays, things are just so consolidated within the energetics industry that it's very difficult to get those bigger jobs as an independent blaster. Now, if you can find a group of blasters and you can make some kind of alliance between, the 4 or 5 of you or so, then you guys might be able to bid on a contracting job and say, hey, look, we can perform this jointly. We can do everything that Dicon or CDI or anyone else can do. And if you can show that you have the reputation and whatnot, I see no reason that they wouldn't consider you. But if you're just going in as an individual person, it's very difficult to compete with these larger contracting and subcontracting companies. So that's just something to keep in mind. There's a lot of other things that are different. You can see them listed out here, but the main difference is it's just you have to compete with an industry that has been around for hundreds of years and has been consolidated heavily within the past 70 years or so. So, of course, we're an energetics manufacturer. We get something out of talking to you about blasting. The more of you guys we get into blasting, the more customers we potentially have, right? So we benefit from getting you into blasting. With that said, we want to make sure that you're getting whatever you need, whether it comes from us or not. So we offer just about everything that you could need, but you don't have to do business with us. You can see all the different things we offer. I mean, it's the run-of-the-mill everything, but you don't have to buy from us. If you're not comfortable with our product, or you don't think our product performs to your standards, or if you feel like a competitor produces a better product, by all means, go with them. But the end kind of takeaway we want you to have from the idea of working with us, if you go the blasting route, is you're going to be working with someone who's willing to make presentations like this and post them on YouTube and everywhere else and say, hey, look, this is what we know and this is how we can help, and we're happy to answer your questions. You would be hard pressed to find, Dino Nobel or some other company coming out and saying, hey, you should join our industry and here's everything that we can tell you. I mean, I'm telling you as much as I know. The stuff that I don't know, I can't tell you. But everything I do know, I'm more than happy to share. And that's the dynamic that you'd be interacting with us with, even as a business partner. So that's something that I think you should consider. And then the stuff at the bottom, of course, all at the bottom, you know, we satisfy a lot of federal and state contracting requirements. Actually, we're a certified minority-owned small business. We've been scaling up our production in the past couple of months. We actually just got our FEL in June, so we're very new to the energetic space. But don't let that fool you. I personally have over 10 years of experience working with energetics, so I know what I'm doing. If I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be missing some hands and some feet by now. It wouldn't just be fingers. It'd be a lot more than that. So I can guarantee you, if you give us a chance, I think we're gonna far exceed your expectations. But it's up to you, and we're not gonna hound you over that. We're just here to try to help the industry. So you saw on the bottom of the top portion of that last slide something about affiliate program. So we have a system within our company. If you decide to do business with us and you think, hey, these guys are good guys and we want to be closer to them, we have an affiliate system where we will basically integrate your company, your business into ours. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that if we're doing good, you're doing better. That's a short way of thinking about it. We want to be there for you when you have questions, when you run into challenges, when you're out in the field and you encounter something unusual, and you say, hey Zach, why does this happen when we detonate explosives this way? Well, what we can do is we can go back to the testing board, and we can set up what you experience in the field and test it out and figure out, okay, what happened. And we could do it over and over. And then when we have a solution for you, we come back and we say, oh, this is what happened. It's because it was this composition, or because it was compressed to this degree, or whatever. But we can tell you what's going on. And that's not just there. We can assist when you're doing licensing. We can assist when you're trying to figure out how to get around permitting issues. We're here for you. And we're here for you whether or not you're affiliated with us. But when you are affiliated, it's an official binding agreement. So it's like having an ace in your back pocket. Not only do you have your experience as a blaster, but you have our experience as manufacturers and handlers of explosives for the past decade at your fingertips. So it's just something to consider. I don't want to push it too much, but it's just something to consider. So anyway, it's a brief little presentation, this one. It's just about the introduction. If there's an interest, I'm more than happy to publish another presentation on whatever topic, whatever energetics topic. But there was just such an interest before, we wanted to make sure that we put something out explaining kind of how blasting works. And the presentation is going to be uploaded to YouTube in just a moment here. And we're going to make the PowerPoint available as well, so that you can click the links and go and do your own research. Now, of course, we're in Texas, so the information here is pertaining to Texas. When you go to other states, it's going to be mostly the same. That blaster license is going to vary by state, though. So if you're in Montana and you want to get a blaster's license, I don't know if it's the Montana Railroad Commission or if it's some other group. I have no idea. So just take what you see here with a grain of salt. Again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I can't tell you what you should do with your life, but I am telling you what I know, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, post a message, send us a PM on Facebook or anywhere, send us an email. Give me a call. These are my personals right here. So you can get in touch with me just like that. So but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I look forward to making the next one.